Hey, and welcome back to my series of homework assignments. Last episode we went through a conveyor system programmed by PLC logic, and today we have that same conveyor system, but it has been expanded on and updated in the programming by adding some timers for efficiency, as well as some more information that is then visible in the touch panel for the hypothetical conveyor operators. Now let's turn the power on here. We'll refamiliarize ourselves with how this all works. Start button. So one of the timers added has been to extend the amount of time the part stop is lowered to ensure the part can fully clear as it travels through at both this beginning part stop and the second part stop at the stamp here. Another timer added has been to the stamp to ensure that it stays in the lowered position for a few seconds to ensure that it comes up to full pressure before it raises once again. Now, some of the lights are the same as before. When the push button A light turns on, when there is a part waiting at the pick and place, push button B turns on when there is a part at the stamp. The blue light here turns on when the pick and place is moving the part from the pick and place to the scale. The green light turns on when the magnet is on. A new light is this yellow light here, which will signal to the operator when the stamp needs maintenance. It is set to come on after a certain amount of parts have been stamped. For this demonstration, it has been set to 10, but obviously your stamp would be a pretty bad one if it needed maintenance after 10 stamps. So in reality, it would be set at a much higher number. And we will come back to the red light here. As you have been able to see in this data up here, the part weight is retrieved from the sensor of the scale, and it is converted from the sensor data into the visual readout of the part weight in grams. We can stop it when a part is on it to see. It's about 13 grams. And when the part on the scale is within a set tolerance amount, the number of good parts on the scale will increase. If the part does not fall within the tolerances, the number will not increase. As well, the stamp pressure here has a sensor as well that is converted into its corresponding PSI pressure, which is available to the operator. Similarly, if the stamp does not come to full pressure when it is stamping a part, it will not count the part as stamped. Now, the percentage of good parts is tracked through the system. A good part is qualified as one that is picked up at the pick and place, goes through the stamp, and gets stamped and exits the system. The percentage of good parts is displayed here. So in reality, if a part was placed on the scale and did not meet the applicable weight standards, there would be a mechanism to divert the part off of the conveyor belt so it wouldn't continue onto the stamp. The simulation doesn't quite have that, but we can fake it, which we will explore in a few moments. So if a part was then diverted, the number of parts at the pickup would exceed the amount of parts that then made it to the stamp, and thus the percentage of good parts ratio would be displayed here. And once that ratio is then exceeded, this red light, as we talked about previously, will then display. It is currently set to about 80%. So let us make that percentage of good parts increase. We'll just turn that off. And we'll allow this part to be picked up. And then we will stop. So it is registered that a part has been picked up, and there is a timer within the system that allows the part to obviously make its way from being picked up to when it is stamped, so it won't arbitrarily change the percentage of good parts. But once that time limit has been reached and the part has not arrived at the stamp, it is then registered that obviously there was a bad part in the system that was diverted away. And as you can see, the percentage of good parts changes, and we can watch that once again. Turn the start button on, lower and lift, and we'll stop. And if we wait a few seconds, we will then see the percentage of good parts change. And this will reflect the time it would have taken. There we go. Now, the one thing is there is also a timer baked in for a delay on when the red light will turn on. And that is, there is a delay for once the start button is pressed to allow a part to make its way through a full cycle before the light will turn on, to ensure the light does not turn on arbitrarily when the cycle first starts and a part is first made its way through. So as we have to start and stop the simulation to simulate bad parts being diverted, the red light will take a few seconds to turn on once I hit the start button. So we give that a few seconds, and you watch over here. As well, the number of times the cycle is stopped by the stop button is kept track of. For data purposes, you wanted to track how many times the process is stopped and started within a shift. And as we can see, the red light has turned on over here to signal that our parts were bad. And once the percentage of good parts reached 80% again, the red light turned off. And our yellow light is on as the number of parts stamped is currently 13, which exceeds our preset stamp maintenance threshold. As well, hit the stop button again. The gray button will clear the number of parts and stamp data, but it will not clear any of the other data in the touch panel. So if I press that, the percentage of good parts and the number of times the stop button is pressed data is still there. To clear it all, that is when the E-stop is pressed. It clears everything, and once the E-stop is pressed, that cycle is then considered finished. So a cycle is from the moment the power is on and the start button is first pressed, activates a cycle, and once the E-stop button is pressed, that entire cycle is finished, but the cycle can be paused within that by pressing the stop button, but the power still remains on. So that is the updated conveyor program. And as always, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to this lovely series. And while you're at it, make sure you turn on the notifications so you get alerted as soon as possible once the next installment is posted. And as always, kids, eat your veggies, do your homework, and remember, hydrate or dihydrate.